series between the Indiana Pacers and the Atlanta Hawks gets underway. Both of these teams getting here in very different ways. The Pacers with a 3-game sweep of the Orlando Magic in a series that ended 8 days ago. The Atlanta Hawks took 5 full games before eliminating the Miami Heat. Hi, everybody. I'm Pete Van Weren. Happy to be welcoming Cleveland Cavaliers head coach Mike Fratello to our TNT playoff microphone. And Mike, the Atlanta Hawks avoided the fate of the Seattle Supersonics, who lost to the number 8 seed in the West, but it did take them 5 full games to get Miami out of there.
Pete, ask any coach what round he fears the most with home court advantage, and they'll tell you it's the mini-series. Lose one game and your backs are to the wall. And we're dealing with perception and reality. Perception is number 1 seed, you sweep number 8. But realistically, it doesn't work that way, particularly in the Eastern Conference. The balance this year. In fact, if a couple teams like Miami, Charlotte, and one other team hadn't had early season injuries, you may have had 8 teams with 50 or more wins. Reality, Atlanta got past the first round. The problem they created by going 5 games, only 48 hours to prepare for Indiana.
On the other hand, the Indiana Pacers sweeping the Orlando Magic, and the 3rd game was a week ago Monday, so they've had plenty of time to prepare.
In fact, maybe too much time. Unheard of to have 8 days off between games. In fact, during the regular season, the most you get is 4 at All-Star break. What did Larry Brown do? He went back to training camp. A lot of teaching, a lot of personalized coaching, controlled scrimmaging. Now, the concern is, with 11 straight wins, has the momentum been broken? We'll see if the rust is off.
Everyone expecting a very competitive series between these two clubs, and the outcome of this series could be determined by the play of the guards.
Not to say that the big people like Willis and Smith aren't going to be a factor here, but the guards are the key. For Indiana, Reggie Miller, top 20 in scoring, 2nd best free throw shooter in the league, 3rd best 3-point shooter in the league, and maybe the best at moving without the basketball off the screens. On the other hand, the key for Atlanta, without question, is Mookie Blaylock. When you look at the 2 losses to Miami, Blaylock's numbers were down, subpar performance. But in the 3 wins, his numbers went up, both points and assists, and at the defensive end, still one of the best at steals, and watch him at the offensive end when he gets rebounds.
2 of the best coaches in the business, Lenny Wilkens and Larry Brown, with over 160 games of playoff coaching experience, going at each other. Game 1 between the Pacers and the Hawks. Coming up next on TNT. Welcome back to Atlanta and the Omni, where the crowd continues to file in for Game 1 of the best-of-7 series between the Indiana Pacers and the Atlanta Hawks. Here's our Chrysler Plymouth starting matchups. For the Pacers, Derek McKee, Dale Davis, Rick Smits, Reggie Miller, and Haywood Workman will be in the starting lineup. For the Hawks, Danny Manning, Kevin Willis, John Koncak, Stacey Augmon, and Mookie Blaylock. And the key matchups there, Mike, will be...
Well, the big thing here is that you're going to have straight matchups across the board to start out with. It's not to say that during the course of the game they may not cross-match. In other words, have Rick Smits guard Kevin Willis or Koncak guard Dale Davis. But to start out, the coaches feel they match up well playing straight up.
In the head-to-head series this season, 5 games played between these 2 teams. The Indiana Pacers winning 2 of them, the Atlanta Hawks winning 3 of them. A lot of close games. In fact, the Indiana Pacers ended 2 long Atlanta Hawks winning streaks this year. The Hawks' longest winning streak of the year, 14 games. They had that snapped here at the Omni by Indiana. They then proceeded to win 7 games in a row shortly after that. That streak was also snapped by the Pacers up at Market Square Arena. There you see Larry Brown's career playoff record. As we said, an awful lot of playoff experience for both of these coaches, Larry Brown and Lenny Wilkens. Lenny Wilkens won NBA title coming back in 1979. And here it is 15 years later, and he'd love to have another one. Our officials tonight, Darryl Garretson, Hugh Hollins, and Lee Jones. And we're just about set to get it underway now from the Omni, and it's going to be interesting to see how these 2 teams get out of the gate. Larry Brown very concerned about that 8-day layoff between the last game they played. On the other hand, Lenny Wilkens kind of likes the situation. He told us earlier today that the Hawks get kind of stale when they have as many as 3 days off in a row.
Well, let's go back to Game 1 between New York and Chicago. New York, which had to play about the same way, 48 hours after their series with Jersey, and they came out of the gate slow against Chicago. We'll take a look and see what happens here.
Mookie will take the first shot of the game. It's an air ball in the arms of Derek McKee. And sometimes if Mookie Blaylock does not hit that first shot, he has a tough night of it.
In fact, you have a couple guys on the floor who you want to keep them away from making the first shot. Mookie's one, Kevin Willis is another, and Reggie Miller a third that you don't want him to get off early.
Here's an inspired player in this series, Haywood Workman, a player who was originally drafted by the Atlanta Hawks and said he wants to make the Hawks pay for letting him go.
I don't want to say anything, Pete, but that was us. Back then, they drafted Haywood Workman.
And we're going to get our first whistle of the game, the foul call against Stacey Ogden.
What Atlanta tried to do is take the pressure off Blaylock, let someone else bring the ball down the floor. Reggie Miller, terrific ball pressure, up on the ball in the backcourt, picks up the offensive foul. I know that Lenny Wilkins would like to post Augman early, so I'm kind of surprised to see him bringing it down this soon.
Workman outside to Derek McKee. Inside, nice pass, and the basket by Davis. First 2 points of the game scored by Indiana.
Probably should mention that Derek McKee has not practiced in the last 3 days. They had 8 days off. Turnover, steal from the blind side, fast break layup for Indiana.
And Reggie Miller on the board with his first 2. A quick 4-0 lead for the Pacers.
I was starting to say, Pete, that there was a sign of a stress fracture possibly appearing in McKee's foot. They asked him to rest the past 3 days, so a little concern on Larry Brown's part how he'll come out tonight.
He's Ogden down low. Smits comes over to help, and it worked. And the rebound pulled away by the Pacers. Workman bringing it down against Mookie. Trying to get it to Smits, stolen by Danny Manning. The Hawks in transition. This is the game the Hawks want to play. Mookie Blaylock gets the Hawks on the board. It's 4-2 Pacers.
You must protect the basketball against Atlanta's defense. Their defense produces so many of the easy scores for this basketball team, so reducing the number of mistakes that you make is so important, plus shooting the ball well.
And you're looking at one of the best shooters in the business there. Reggie Miller is shooting 55% in that Orlando series, averaging 29 points a game in that series. And he's hit for 4 points in this first quarter. It's 6-2. Haywood Workman called for the first Indiana foul of the night.
That is calling it extremely close. You're talking about a man hand checking, a slight hand check on the hip this early in the game. The officials are trying to let him know they're not going to let this get out of control.
Okay, Blaylock. That was a 3-pointer, and it brings the Hawks back to within 1. Mookie has scored all 5 Atlanta points. Miller trying to get it down low to McKee, and again Manning got a hand in. Pacers ball with 14 seconds left on the shot clock. The Indiana Pacers playing in the second round of an NBA playoff for the first time in their history. And we're going to get a whistle in the backcourt. Rick Smits called for his first.
I think Indiana's concerned that there was a double dribble before the foul took place, that the ball was dribbled, picked up, and then dribbled again.
It'll be inbounded by Manning. And Mookie Blaylock will bring it down for Atlanta. This is what the Hawks normally do, bringing the ball down the court. Danny Manning's first effort comes up empty, out of bounds, off Indiana. But like you said, Mike, they had to make a little adjustment in that Miami series because Mookie was working so hard and trying to create his own shots off the dribbles. So you're going to see Danny Manning, Stacey Ogden, Craig Elo, and he's in the game, handling the ball part of the time. Mookie coming off screens, trying to get a more open shot.
You're asking Blaylock not only to push the ball up the floor, make decisions off the dribble, but then defend the basketball at the other end of the floor with pressure, so you have to relieve some of that.
The jump hook by Kevin Willis, his first 2 of the game. And the Hawks have taken a 1-point lead here, 7-6 over Indiana. Over and back. The Indiana turnover, giving it back to the Hawks.
We mentioned players that you don't want to get off early. Surprisingly, no double team on Kevin Willis down on that low left block. That's his favorite spot. That's an easy one for him. The jump hook turning to his left shoulder.
3 turnovers in the last 30 seconds for the Indiana Pacers. Hawks leading at 7-6, 8:47 remaining in this first quarter. Comcast left uncovered. Way wide with that shot.
I think you can see a little bit of the nervousness here on both teams' part. It's the beginning of the second round. Both teams anticipating a tough battle, and right now trying to get some of the bugs out.
Back to Workman. He'll take the shot with Mookie Blaylock coming at him, and Haywood Workman has his first basket. That gives Indiana the lead back, 8-7.
Here's the next person that they want to distribute the basketball. Danny Manning bringing it up again, taking some of the pressure off Mookie Blaylock. Run Blaylock off the screens. Where Lenny Wilkins said he's a much better shooter than people think.
Danny Manning going into the paint and paying. Derek McKee called for his first. That's the third team foul. And Danny Manning going to the free throw line in the series with the Miami Heat. Manning averaging 18 points and 5 rebounds. He has his first point of the night. That's what Manning did against the Heat during the regular season. 20 points a game, 7 rebounds a game.
Probably should give him a little bit of credit also for chasing Mr. Rice around a few screens that Miami set there. Kept Glenn Rice under control, and as a few of the Hawks players said, really was not as big a factor as we had feared in that series. That's because of the hard work by Danny Manning.
Manning makes them both, his first 2 of the game. And the Hawks are back up by 1 over the Pacers. Trying to get it back out to Reggie Miller. That's 3 if it goes. It was a little strong off the back rim. Rebound comes out deep. Mookie Blaylock controlling. Tried to get it to Stacey Augmon. Augmon didn't see it coming.
Well, he saw Kevin Willis filling the left lane. Almost went in that direction with the pass. At the last minute saw the defense recover, so tried to drop it off to the right lane.
And Indiana gets it back. 7:40 left, opening quarter. There's a steal by Kevin Willis. Another Indiana turnover. That's their 4th in this first quarter. Stacey Augmon through the lane. A chance for a 3-point play.
Indiana has had a problem the entire season with the basketball protecting it. The problem when you turn it over against Atlanta, they change ends so quickly. They outnumber your defense. Then you need finishers. Guys like Augmon that can complete the play and get fouled. A chance for a 3-point opportunity here.
And early foul trouble for Derek McKee, who's just picked up his second. Sam Mitchell is going to check into the Indiana lineup, replacing McKee.
I was starting to say that Indiana has had problems protecting the basketball the entire season. Larry Brown mentioned they got better down the stretch, but for the season, they were 25th in the league in turnovers as a team. Almost 18 turnovers a game for their team, which has given up the basketball a lot of times.
Yeah, the only teams that turned the ball over more, the Minnesota Timberwolves and the LA Clippers, 2 teams that did not make the playoffs. Workman trying to get away from Mookie Blaylock. And they really are calling this one tight in the first quarter. First foul on Mookie.
The NBA players are such great athletes. They adjust to how the game is called. They'll feel it out here in the early minutes, see how the officials are calling it, and then they will adjust offensively and defensively to how these early whistles are going. All they want is consistency throughout the game.
Pacers trailing by 4. Inside it comes to Dale Davis. Around and out, the battle for the rebound. A loose ball foul is going to be called underneath. Oh, they're going to call it on contact.
You may not realize the size of the people on the floor right now, but for Indiana, you're talking about Smits at 7'4" and Dale Davis at 6'11". For Atlanta, you're talking 2 7-footers in Koncak and Kevin Willis. There are a lot of big bodies out there. The small forwards, by the way, are 6'9" and 6'10".
Good size. Something you could have used in that Chicago series, Mike Fratello.
Correct. Just send one guy over.
I'll tell you what, you need to be congratulated for the job you did in that series with all the injuries you had.
Thanks, Pete.
Workman's moving toward the basket, high off the glass. He's got 4 in this opening quarter, and it's a 12-10 Atlanta lead. Down low, Kevin Willis. Count the basket, and he drew the foul. Willis with his 4th point.
Normally, in the playoffs, you don't want to give up 3-point plays. There are 3-point baskets behind the 3-point line, and then there are 3-point plays. If you're going to foul, don't let them finish. Another opportunity for the Hawks to get 3. Transition defense is one of the things that the Hawks wanted to explore. When Indiana's coming down on a fast break with the basketball, they have 1 man back to defend. The problem happens that when you turn the basketball over, now Indiana has 4 players down on the baseline and only 1 man ready to get back. When you have a team like the Hawks that change from defense to offense as quickly as they do, it produces easy points, fast break points.
The turnaround in defense, the big difference in the Atlanta Hawks team this year compared to a year ago. They only allowed 96 points a game during the regular season, under 90 a game in their first round 3-2 win over the Miami Heat. And it's the transition game Lenny Wilkens wants to play, and that's the game that Larry Brown wants to stay away from. He told us this morning he'd much prefer getting the Hawks into a half-court game. He feels the Pacers' chances better there.
Because they score at such a high rate in transition. When they outnumber you, they have good finishes on the floor, a good decision maker in Mookie Blaylock, a guy in Danny Manning who has vision with his size and the ability to find open people. If he has it in his hand, make him play half-court, make him try to make shots from the outside, keep him off the offensive boards.
5 points in this first quarter for Kevin Willis. Hawks leading at 15-10. They've outscored Indiana 13-6. Turnaround Jay by Smits is short. Willis the rebound. This time Mookie Blaylock brings it down. Workman staying with him outside. Kevin Willis trying the 18-foot jumper and canning it. There's a shot. Kevin Willis doesn't take that often. He's got 7 points.
And you may say to yourself, what's Willis doing way out there? That wasn't an accident. By design, Lenny Wilkens feels he has to take some of the pressure off of Willis. He knows when he's down low, everybody runs and double teams him. Give him a shot once in a while, face it up. He makes him on a pretty good basis.
We're going to get another whistle underneath. And John Koncak's going to be called for another one, I believe. Nope, this one's on Kevin Willis, his first. It's the third team foul. And Sam Mitchell will go to the line. Mitchell came into the game a couple of minutes ago, and Derek McKee picked up his second foul. Mitchell from Mercer College here in Georgia. Averaged 5 points, 2.5 rebounds a game during the regular season. A 75% free throw shooter. Missing the first one here.
One of the reasons Larry Brown liked this young man was he gave the team toughness. When Larry came in, he felt that they had to establish a new attitude defensively. Sam Mitchell will hold his ground. It's a standoff with him. He's physical. He'll get after you.
This is a much more physical Indiana team than we were accustomed to seeing over the years in the NBA, with Dale Davis and Antonio Davis, Haywood Workman. Ogman with Smits coming over to block Ogman's shot. It goes out of bounds, though, off Smits. Still belongs to Atlanta. 12 seconds left to shoot it.
Indiana making the decision to come off of John Koncak with the double team and help Reggie Miller down low while Stacey Augman's posting up.
And Koncak left unguarded. Will take that shot. If he starts hitting it, then they're going to have to play a little more honestly. Hawks on a 17-5 run have opened up a 19-11 lead over Indiana. Seven-foot 4-inch Rick Smits trying to handle the ball like a guard. Instead turns it over. The Pacers pay as Stacey Augman scores his fifth. 21-11 Atlanta. Stacey also doing a very good job in the early going on Reggie Miller. Miller having trouble working himself free to get some shots. Offensive board by Dale Davis, tipped away by Danny Manning. Hawks on the run. Kevin Willis. He'll back out of there now. Koncak, same spot. Different result. Rebound Smits.
It may not fall in the turnover category, but what looked like a sure layup for Indiana. Danny Manning gets a strip. The Hawks get another shot opportunity at the other end.
And there's yet another Indiana turnover. Stacey Augman controlling. Behind the back to Kevin Willis. Willis has 9. The Hawks have opened up a 12-point lead over the Pacers. Timeout, Indiana.
This is what you want from your pressure defense. Pressure on the ball, hands in, deploys deflections and steals, and then once you come up with it, have the athletes that can run out and convert, and a team that will play unselfishly. Is Stacey going to take it? No way. Give it to the big fella. Make him happy. Pressure defense. See the ball, see a man, get your arm in the passing lane, and hope to force turnovers. Augman sees them both, turns and takes a look where the ball is, and now as Miller pops out, his quick recovery, arm in the passing lane, and now they're off to another transition opportunity. Center the basketball up, let your other teammates fill the lanes and draw 2 defenders. find a guy like Willis who can run the floor and finish, and everybody's happy in the Omni.
Hawks have scored 12 points on the fast break. Indiana has yet to score a fast break point. Indiana's turned the ball over 7 times already in this first quarter. Atlanta on a 21-5 run over the last 5.5 minutes have opened up a 23-11 lead. Rick Smits. And Concat got a hand up. He thought he got all ball, but they believe he's going to be called for his second foul. He will be. And Rick Smits still looking for his first points of this game, going to the free throw line. Here's a guy that's game improved the last couple of years. Now in his 6th year in the league, he averaged 15 points, 6 rebounds a game, 53% field goal shooter. That ranked 8th in the NBA this year.
Early in his career, there was a concern of how much did Rick Smits really like basketball? How much did he want to work at the game? How much passion did he play the game with? Whatever it is this year, under Larry Brown and his staff, the entire season, Rick Smits has been there for them. He's had some tremendous basketball game, putting big numbers up. He's played with the desire that people question whether he had or not.
And now he has his first 2 points of the night, 23-13. You saw between shots, Andrew Lang check in, replacing John Concact, who's picked up his second foul. 4 minutes remaining in this first quarter. And reaching in, Sam Mitchell. He'll be called for his first foul. We're in the penalty already for Indiana.
You mentioned that Andrew Lang checked in for John Concact. In most cases, when one of your big people gets in foul trouble, you bring someone else in, you lose some size, you lose some bulk. Not the case with the Atlanta Hawks. One of the key moves, acquiring Andrew Lang. They can always have those 2 7-footers out on the floor.
At the line, Danny Manning. He's got 2 points tonight. Now lead at 24-13. This first quarter being played very much the way the Hawks would like this whole series to go. A lot of transition baskets, a lot of turnovers on the Indiana side because of the Atlanta defense. And they've opened up a 12-point lead, 25-13.
If you're Larry Brown, it's one of the biggest fears that you've had during these 8 days off. What do we do to regain the competitive edge that we had in winning the 3 straight against the Orlando Magic? You try to scrimmage a lot. In fact, they had 2 outstanding officials. Billy Knight and Gar Hurd were the 2 officials in their scrimmages during the week, 2 former NBA players. But you just can't make it like it is in a real game.
That is an awfully long time to be away from playing a game, 8 days. Hawks really upbeat with their defense. Reggie finally breaks himself open and gets a basket to fall for him. He's got 6 points. 25-15.
That's one of the best looks Reggie Miller's going to get at a basket during this season. Good screen that time. He ran his cut well. The ball was delivered on time. He had a wide open look at it.
Heading down low. Couldn't get that to fall. Rick Smits the rebound off to Haywood Workman. Indiana trying to climb back into it away from the ball, a whistle.
In transition, they set a little baseline screen. The 2-man, Reggie Miller likes to set it on the small forward. The 3-man, that time the defensive player for Atlanta runs right through the screen and the foul is called.
Craig Elo has checked in for Atlanta. He had some fine performances in that series with the Miami Heat. At the line, Reggie Miller. This is a place, if you're Atlanta, you don't want Reggie Miller on that free throw line. 91% during the regular season, 2nd in the league. Vern Fleming checking in now, replacing Haywood Workman. Before
Pooh Richardson was injured, Larry Brown would wear out the opposing point guard by playing all 3 players during the game. Haywood Workman, Vern Fleming, Pooh Richardson. They kept coming after you, picked you up full court. So the loss of Richardson has hurt him as far as pressuring the opposition.
Do you think that may have also contributed to the high number of turnovers, though, using 3 guys in that spot?
Sure, maybe nobody's getting comfortable there, right?
25-17. Atlanta leading the Pacers by 8. 2:45 to go. That's a 3 if it goes. And it does for Mookie Blaylock. 8 points for Blaylock, including 2 3-pointers. 28-17 Atlanta. Smits the jumper over Andrew Lang. He's not been able to get that shot to fall for him. And another whistle underneath. A loose ball foul is going to be called on Atlanta. Greg Elo called for his first. Hawks are in the penalty now as well. Seven fouls called against the Atlanta Hawks in this first quarter, 6 against the Indiana Pacers. And Rick Smits back at the free throw line. Talking about that long layoff, Mike Donnie Walsh, the general manager of the Pacers, at the game tonight, and I was talking to him before the game. He said, we almost forgot that we were in the playoffs. It seemed so long ago that series with Orlando was completed.
They're trying to structure the 8 days. The first thing Larry Brown did was he went back and showed the fourth quarter of the last win against Orlando to show the team the positive things that they had done and how many of the goals they had accomplished in the way that they wanted to play. Then they went back to work preparing for the next opponent.
Elo feeding Lang, but he couldn't get the slam dunk to go, and the loose ball picked away by Indiana, almost stolen by Mookie. Vern Fleming off to Sam Mitchell. Mitchell now with 3 points in the first quarter, 27-21. Mookie trying for this one from 2-point range. The rebound pulled away by Smits. Off to Reggie Miller. Dale Davis. Too strong off the glass. Indiana's had some shots to make some easy baskets tonight. They've not been able to get some of them to fall.
The last shot down by Mookie Blaylock, probably a shot he would like to have back again. That's one of those hurried shots where if you don't have the fast break opportunity, let's get back to moving the basketball.
Greg Elo, wide left, rebound Mitchell. And Indiana now getting just about every rebound on every Atlanta miss. Miller for 3. Nope, the offensive putback though by Vern Fleming, his first 2 of the game. And all of a sudden a 10-2 run for the Indiana Pacers. And the Atlanta Hawks lead down to 4.
And I would think that if you keep this around 4-6 at the end of the first quarter for Larry Brown, you're very happy, particularly with 7 turnovers in the first quarter, leading to all those fast break opportunities. They're right back in the basketball game. They hung around, gave themselves a chance. Another
outside jumper taken by Willis. And there's an offensive rebound that you were talking about, one of Mookie Blaylock's strengths. No whistle. Manning dishing off to Kevin Willis. Baseline jumper goes, and Kevin Willis has 11 in this first quarter. Hawks lead it by 6. So while the game is 4 points, missed shot, and you think Indiana's going to come down and have a chance to cut it to 2, instead Mookie Blaylock comes up with the strip on the offensive boards, gives him another shot opportunity, and now it's back to 6. You see the time left in the opening quarter. Down low it comes to Smits. They double him. He sends it across to Mitchell. Mitchell, 15-footer. Lang the rebound. Elo passing off to Kevin Willis. He's had the hot hand for Atlanta in this first quarter. 13 points for Kevin Willis. 31-23 Hawks. Now the Pacers will play for a final shot here. Nice feed to Dale Davis, and that's about the easiest basket they've had all night. Atlanta still has plenty of time to come back and get a shot off here at the end of the quarter. 31-25 Atlanta, and there's the horn ending quarter number 1. The Atlanta Hawks and the Indiana Pacers underway with their best-of-7 Eastern Conference Semifinal. The Hawks leading at 31-25 after 1, a 13-point quarter for Kevin Willis to spark the Atlanta Hawks. One of the best in the business at moving without the basketball, Reggie Miller starts to take his defensive player out away from the basket. In the meantime, behind him, he's going to have 2 big people down here setting screens. Take him away, change direction. Take him back underneath the hoop. When he gets underneath, now the defense must decide, is he coming back out the way he started, or is he coming back out opposite? The key is, does his big man give him a good screen? Dale Davis, his big man, gives him a great screen, knocks the defender off, a wide open look for Reggie Miller. Different combination out on the court now for Indiana. Mitchell, Vern Fleming, Derek McKee is checked back in, Byron Stott in the game, and Antonio Davis is checked in for the first time tonight for the Pacers. Elo, Manning, Lang, Willis, and Enos Watley in there now for Atlanta. Quarter number 2 underway. Pete Van Weer and Mike Fratello with you from the Omni in Atlanta. Mitchell short, the rebound, Lang.
When you talk about depth and matchups, the key in this backup point guard matchup goes to Indiana. You have Vern Fleming, a veteran player who's been in a lot of big basketball games, played a lot of minutes in his career against Enos Watley. Watley, a guy that you just want him to come in and not lose any ground. Hold serve, so to say, and give Mookie a chance to regain, and when Mookie comes back, pick up from there.
Greg Elo shooting over Byron Scott around and out. Derek McKee, the rebound for the Pacers. And you see the great versatility of Derek McKee, and we're going to get an offensive foul call against him. That's number 3 on him.
That's a tough break for Larry Brown in Indiana because McKee is such a key part to their team. Not only shooting and scoring, but handling the basketball. Good move by Danny Manning. Takes away his dominant hand, his right hand, picks up the offensive foul. It's number 3. McKee will have to sit down.
So Kenny Williams gets the call from Larry Brown, replacing Derek McKee, who's picked up 3 and is still complaining about it to Darrell Garretson as he leaves the court. Dwayne Farrell's checked in for the first time for Atlanta. Manning with Mitchell on him. Lang, Davis coming at him. Farrell and the taller Kenny Williams. Inside to Manning, and we're going to get an offense. No, we're going to get a goaltend call. Danny Manning gets his first field goal. He has 6 points now. The Hawks lead it by 8, 33-25.
Size, athleticism, jumping ability. Antonio Davis coming from the weak side to get it. If it's on its way down, it's goaltending.
And that was the call. Byron Scott, who hit that huge basket in the Orlando series. How about that one to get him started? His first 2 of the night.
Don't believe he really shot that one. He was trying to pick up 2 free throws at the foul line. Somehow he got it through there.
33-27, Atlanta leading Indiana by 6 early in quarter number 2. Farrell almost lost it. Manning draws the double, kicks it outside to Craig Elo. He was open and hits the jumper. His first 2 of the night. In fact, those are the first 2 points scored by anyone off the Atlanta Hawks bench in this game. 35-27, Atlanta by 8. Scott again going into the paint. This time he did draw the foul.
Hawks foul number 33, Dwayne
Farrell picking up his first.
That's twice in a row that the little baseline screening action has freed up Byron Scott to come to the middle of the floor. And the problem defensively is if you want pressure up on the basketball, which is out at the top of the circle, it's hard to get that same guy to pressure the ball and get back to help on the drives to the middle of the floor. That's where you need your big people stepping up, taking away that lane.
This 11-year veteran, another major acquisition by the Indiana Pacers and changing the look of their team. He's got all those rings from his Laker days. Dale Davis is checked back in.
We need to give Donnie Walsh, the general manager of the Indiana Pacers, a little bit of credit for picking this guy up because he was sitting out there for a while. People couldn't decide whether to go after him or not. Was he washed up? Was he injury prone? Could he still come out and be a big contributor? And then how much money did they have left under the salary cap restrictions to go after a player like Byron Scott? Reportedly $650,000 is what they got him for, a real bargain.
4 points for Byron Scott, 35-29. Back in the 70s, Mike Fratello, you never thought you would be saying $600,000 was a bargain, did you?
No, Pete. The salaries obviously have moved up a little bit from what our expectations
And that's an accurate description. You get a player of Byron Scott's caliber for $600,000, it is a bargain these days. They've got a timeout being called here by the officials with 9:52 to go in the second quarter, and the Hawks up by 6.
The objective in trying to get a jump ball is to get both players to have their hands on the basketball. Now, if you're Lenny Wilkens, I'm not so sure you're convinced that this is just basketball or a little bit of head and shoulder action taking place there. Regardless of the fact, they're still going to jump this basketball up when they come out of the timeout. The lob over the top to try and get the quick score. Just the fact that Davis got his hand up and then a piece of the ball Hugh Hollins on the baseline says it's all ball. That's why he's clapping his hands, so they'll throw it up.
9:52 remaining in the first half. 35-29. Atlanta leading Indiana in game 1 of this series. Game 2 will be here in Atlanta on Thursday night. Games 3 and 4 move back to Indiana on Saturday and Sunday. Lang and Davis. And the tip control by the Pacers. Vern Fleming. Byron Scott coming around those screens. Couldn't get the jumper to fall. Kevin Willis pulls away the rebound. His third. Dwayne Farrell drawing a crowd as he got into the paint. We're going to get a whistle against Indiana. And a foul call against Vern Fleming. And that is his first. At the conclusion of tonight's game, we'll be selecting the Budweiser player of the game. And Budweiser will donate $1,000 in his behalf to the United Negro College Fund.
You can see that Atlanta is trying to get the ball up the floor quickly on misses as well as makes. The idea behind it, get away from some of that pressure that Indiana's trying to put on them. In fact, that first pass came with just 5 seconds gone by on the 24-second clock. Already they were into their transition offense.
Kevin Willis misfires on that jumper. The rebound pulled away by Indiana off to Fleming. Kenny Williams seeing his first action tonight. He gets it back. Comes up short. Gets the rebound and the putback. Good second effort by Ken Williams.
One of the instances where you get caught when you tell your players to run out on the jump shooters. Dwayne Farrell couldn't decide whether to run out or block out. He gives up the offensive rebound and second shot opportunity.
And another foul has been called on Vern Fleming. He's picked up 2 quick ones here. Only the second team foul of the quarter on the Pacers. 8:54 remaining in the half. Hawks leading at 35-31 over Indiana. Underneath, Willis gets the assist. Farrell gets the basket. His first 2 of the game. Hawks back up by 6, 37-31.
If you're a college coach, high school coach, you would call that a little bit of flex action by Atlanta. It's horizontal screening, vertical screening taking place. You hope to spring someone open under the basket. If a switch doesn't take place, that's exactly what the Hawks got.
Antonio Davis guarded by Lang. Goes into the paint. Had his shot blocked by Lang, but the foul's going to be called on Enos Watley, his first.
Atlanta likes to go into this little flex series after timeouts or coming out from a side out of bounds. Back pick from the baseline side, no switch, the easy layup inside.
Antonio Davis looking for his first points of the night. You know, as we look ahead to the games in this series, Mike Fratello, you've got to believe that there's going to be a lot of input from both coaches. Playoffs are all about making adjustments from one game to the next, and you've got 2 guys here who have been in this business for a long time. This should be a very interesting series.
Many times you go back to your team after the first game, and if you're the losing team, you tell them, listen, we learned from this game. This was kind of an experimental game for us to see how we want to play them better for the remainder of the series. The key is everybody accepts it that way and grows from it.
Well, there was a double turnover. Kenny Williams caused one, then created one. He stole the ball and then traveled.
Both teams during the course of the regular season produced easy scores with tenacious defense. The steal by Williams, but then the extra step gives it right back to Atlanta.
Stacey Ogman has checked back into the Hawks lineup. Farrell almost lost it. Rebound pulled away by Dale Davis. Indiana doing a good job on the boards in the second quarter. That's 4 rebounds in the game for Davis. Haywood Workman is back in at the point for the Pacers. He and Byron Scott now the backcourt tandem. Scott shakes himself free from Ogman, but can't get the jumper to fall. Rebound pulled away. Number 5 of the night for Dale Davis. The double team trying to steal Ogman. Davis keeps it in Indiana's possession, but Workman misses the layup, and the rebound pulled away by Kevin Willis.
Workman just rushed the opportunity to get the layup. He had two teammates standing in the lane with him, couldn't put it down.
Stacey Augmon hits the outside jumper, giving him 7 points. That is not one of Stacey Augmon's strong points, that outside jump shot. If he gets to the point where he can hit that, he'll become a very, very dangerous player in this league. 39-32, 7 minutes to go. Atlanta up by 7. There'll be 9 seconds left on the shot clock, and Danny Manning and Mookie Blaylock will be checking back into the Atlanta Hawks lineup after this timeout.
Back here in Atlanta, Ernie Johnson with Tim Hardaway, eagerly anticipating his first Reebok halftime report appearance. At that time, he will analyze the first half of this Game 1 between the Pacers and Hawks, and we'll take a look ahead to the second game of our doubleheader between Denver and Utah. We'll hook up with the Nuggets' Robert Pack. It's all coming up on the Reebok halftime report. Now back to Pete Van Wieren and Mike Fratello, guys.
Okay, thank you, Ernie. It's 39-32. The Hawks leading the Pacers with 6:56 to go in the second quarter. 53% from the field for Atlanta, 41% from the field for the Indiana Pacers. And in the series with the Miami Heat, the Hawks held Miami to a 41% field goal percentage.
Anytime you can hold a team down in the low 40s, that means you're going to have your opportunities to run out and get scores in transition. It's one of the key things that coaches check out immediately to see what you are forcing the other team into shooting from the floor.
We're at the Omni in Atlanta, Game 1 of the best-of-7 Eastern Conference Semifinal series, and a inbounds play pays off in 2 points for Dale Davis. He has 6.
If you throw the ball into the rim from an out-of-bounds play, a player on the floor may go up, catch it, and put it in. It is not offensive goaltending when it's coming from out of bounds, the pass. If the ball goes in without being touched, you do not score the 2 points.
Danny Manning somehow got that pass into Stacey Augmon. He somehow got that basket to fall, and a chance for a 3-point play for Stacey Augmon. Believe me, this one was not designed this way.
This shot is a very difficult shot because he's trying to avoid one defensive player, trying to keep his balance. Another one comes from behind him on the blind side and somehow avoids both and still has enough strength to get the ball up on the glass for the score.
Stacey Augmon, all kinds of inside moves. And he's now in double figures with 10 points after that 3-point play. The Hawks back up by 8, 42-34. Workman quickly almost threw it away. Mitchell, nice save, couldn't get the shot to fall though. Lang the rebound. Mookie Blaylock's got Danny Manning. Manning got clobbered as he got into the paint. See if he's okay.
I'm not sure that the foul was as hard as the fans are reacting here. Danny Manning was a little bit off balance as he's trying to get the shot up on the backboard. The defensive player hit him and Danny went down, but it was not a foul that was intended to hurt Danny Manning. Transition. Once again, Blaylock crosses it over, and as Manning is going up on the other side, here comes the defensive player over the top of his shoulder. No intent to hurt there, just to stop an easy layup.
They called a flagrant foul on Sam Mitchell.
Well, the officials aren't going to let it get away at all. If it's even close to being it, they're putting him on the line and going to give Atlanta the ball.
Here's another look at it.
Feeling there is that he obviously did not go and play basketball. He played the man's body instead. They'll give Atlanta the ball back out on the side.
Danny Manning now 6 for 6 from the free throw line. He has 8 points in the game, and the Hawks have opened up a 10-point lead now over the Pacers, 44-34.
I think we've seen a few fouls a little bit harder than that have not been called flagrants in the playoffs thus far.
Mookie Blaylock to Stacey Augmon, and we're going to get an offensive foul call. Andrew Lang called for his first. Pete Van Wieren, Mike Fratello with you from the Omni in Atlanta, where it's 44-34 Hawks. Danny Manning with 8 points in this first half. Game 1 of the best-of-7 series. And round 2 in the NBA playoffs underway. Rick Smits, that's his first field goal. He has 6 points. Atlanta leads by 8.
Pete, when's the last perimeter shot you can remember an Indiana player making? Everything
well, they haven't hit one in this quarter.
It's all come down inside. Their scores and their misses have all been inside opportunities. They need that perimeter game to complement the inside game.
They've only scored 4 field goals in this entire quarter, and they've all been inside shots. Stacey Augmon again trying that outside shot. That was way off the mark. Mitchell the rebound. He'll give it to Haywood Workman. Seconds now on the shot clock. Rick Smits, using every bit of his 7 feet 4 inch frame, has 8 points now. And it's back to a 6-point game. Hawks get it up to 10, and the Indiana Pacers creep right back in.
Well, what they'll try to do is keep milking Rick Smits, see how many scores they can get from the low post area, and then if Atlanta starts doubling back on him earlier and harder, they'll get the perimeter game going.
The block shot is kicked out to Reggie Miller. He's got Mitchell on the wing, but he's going to stop and fire himself. Tipped by Mitchell, no. Rebound coming out loose. Mookie Blaylock and Reggie Miller. It's going to be Atlanta's ball. And the Atlanta Hawks are going to use their 22nd timeout here with 4:43 remaining in the half. Hawks up by 6.
Larry Brown right now should be feeling pretty good. The team down only 6, not playing particularly well, not nearly as well as they had played when they ended that Orlando series. For Lenny Wilkins, perhaps a little bit of concern because they're out shooting the ball better than 50% here in the first half, and still when he looks up at the scoreboard, it's a 6-point game.
And Rick Smits, one of the reasons the Pacers have climbed back within 6 points, scoring the last 4 Pacer points, and here's 2 of them.
When Smits is down in the low hole, Atlanta must decide, go hard and double team or drop and read. Blaylock is trying to drop and read, tries to reach in for the swipe, but at 7 feet 4 inches tall, he gets a good look over the top of Andrew Lang, who is 6'11".
And there's what you were talking about, how many Indiana points have come from in the paint. The perimeter game virtually non-existent for the Pacers here in the second quarter. 44-38 Atlanta.
You realize that the points in the paint, that lasts for so long. But when you have a team like Atlanta with big bodies, they eventually will take some of that away. You won't get clean, easy looks. Therefore, you have to have someone making shots from the outside.
Hawks still shooting 53%. Indiana is getting a little better. They started out the quarter 41%. Now they're up to 44%. John Koncak back in the lineup for the Hawks. Mookie Blaylock trying to shake himself free. Stacey Augmon a convenient bounce into the arms of Kevin Willis, but the shot wouldn't go. Miller the rebound. Indiana 13-9 rebound advantage in this game.
Sam Mitchell just cannot get a shot to fall for him, and he's the guy that's been open most of the time. They're using his defensive player for a lot of the help and rotations in the defense by Atlanta. As a result, Sam's getting open looks. He just got to knock a few down.
Blaylock trying to shake free of Workman, does, but couldn't get the shot to fall. Manning, the offensive rebound, the putback. He's got 10, and the Hawks are back up by 8, 46-38.
There's the savvy of Danny Manning. Never comes down and regroups. He just gets it up there with one hand before the Indiana defense can recover.
Now the double team on Smith, so he gets rid of it to Dale Davis. Davis comes up short, and the ball goes back to Atlanta. 3:38 the time left in the first half. Atlanta trying to build that lead back to double figures now. With the exception of the opening of this game when Indiana jumped off to a 6-2 lead, Atlanta has been in charge ever since. But once again, the Pacers a chance to get it within 6. Reggie Miller unable to get that hot hand going. He's now 3 for 8 from the field in this first half.
I think what we've seen the last 2 times down the floor for Reggie Miller is a little bit of frustration setting in. He has not had a lot of open looks. He has not had a lot of shot attempts, only 8 here in the first half. And he wants to get himself going so he can get on a roll. Atlanta doing a good job of paying special attention to Reggie Miller, coming off the screens and in transition, because that's where he's most dangerous, pulling up behind the three-point line as the defense is getting back.
Atlanta perfect from the free throw line so far tonight, 9 for 9. Augman's 2 out of 2. 47-38. Stacey averaging right around a season average. He averaged 14 a game during the regular season. Good shooting, 58% against the Miami Heat in that 5-game set. Hawks still perfect from the line, 11 for 11. Lead it again by 10, 48-38, closing in the 3-minute mark here in the first half. seconds on the shot clock. They get it down to Rick Smits once again, and Rick Smits getting an illegal D call. Against Atlanta, that's the first such call. And the Pacers will call a timeout here. 2:53 left in the half. Hawks leading it by 10.
The NBA playoffs on TNT are brought to you by Lexus, the result of relentless pursuit of perfection. And by Champion. It takes a little more to make a champion.
Talking illegal defense right here. Well, the culprit for the Atlanta Hawks is Kevin Willis. With the ball on this side of the floor, as Willis's man is clearing out, he is not allowed to drag and hang in the center of the lane and zone the area off. Darryl Garretson felt he zoned up the middle of the floor. He calls it illegal defense.
48-38. Atlanta leading Indiana with 2:53 to go, and you can see how these teams' strengths are beginning to show already. Fast break points for Atlanta, 18 for Indiana 2. That's the game Atlanta wants to play. Half court points, Indiana 36, Atlanta 30. That's the game Indiana wants to play. Smits with single coverage this time. Now Mookie comes over for the help. And Smits gets it to fall for him. He's warming up. He's got 6 in the quarter, 10 in the game. It's back to an 8-point Atlanta lead. Mookie's going to fire up a 3. It comes up short. The offensive rebound by Kevin Willis. He misfires. Danny Manning had it, and he's going to draw the foul.
When Indiana gets Rick Smits on a roll, they try to keep going back to him. Atlanta probably made a little bit of an adjustment. He said, hey, let's go after him a little bit earlier now. But Smits, turning to his left shoulder, turns away from the defense, gets a look at the basket.
Sam Mitchell picks up his 3rd personal foul. Danny Manning at the line trying to keep the Hawks perfect there. That's the first miss from the free throw line in 12 tries for Atlanta. Coming up at halftime, our Reebok halftime report. Ernie Johnson in our studios with Tim Hardaway of the Warriors. They'll preview the Nuggets Jazz, plus have a live interview with the Nuggets Robert Pack coming up on the Reebok halftime report. And do those Denver Nuggets kids realize yet what they've done, Mike?
A tremendous accomplishment.
Wow.
Terrific job by Bernie Bickerstaff in assembling the players there. And then Dan Issel maintaining patience with the team as it grew throughout the season, and then the belief in one another to actually go win and beat that team in game number 5. Tremendous accomplishment.
11 points now for Manning. Atlanta 49-40 lead now over Indiana, closing into the 2-minute mark. Here in the first half, Rick Smits baseline. This time it got blocked partially by Danny Manning, but Dale Davis is the savior there for Indiana. He has 8, and the lead now 7 for Atlanta. Contact. Didn't get the bounce. Davis the rebound. He's got 7 boards in this first half. And a 20-second timeout will be called here by Indiana with 1:30 to go in quarter number 2.
A little set play that Indiana likes to use. Rick Smits comes over, and it looks like he's going to set a screen so that they can play pick and roll with the guard. But instead, just as he approaches the defensive man, he slips it and goes to the basket early. Slips the screen, looks for the lead pass, catches his defensive man up on the high side, then the opportunity for the layup. He misses, but the follow is good.
A 7-point Atlanta lead with 1:30 remaining in this first half. These two teams battled on very even terms during the regular season. There are 5 regular season games, 3 of which were won by Atlanta, but all 5 games decided by a total of 10 points. Only 10-point scoring difference between Indiana and Atlanta during the regular season in their 5-game set.
Indiana wound up winning 47 games at the end of the regular season. If you go back early, though, when they first did the trade and acquired Derek McKee, he was injured. They really did not have the horse that they thought they were going to have to start out.
Byron Scott launching and hitting a 3. He's got 7 points. And Indiana has climbed right back in this thing. They're down by 4 now.
Indiana now has gone to the small lineup with Reggie Miller as the small forward to give him a little bit of shooting outside. Miller and Scott on the floor.
Konkak hits the outside J. His 4th point, 51-45. Atlanta by 6. With Miller at the small forward, Workman and Scott are now your guards. Down low, Rick Smith had it tipped away by Mookie, got it back. 8 seconds left in the shot clock. Smith couldn't get the jumper to fall, but another offensive rebound and put back by Dale Davis. He's got 8 rebounds and 10 points.
Indiana can punish you on the offensive boards between Dale Davis, Antonio Davis, Rick Smith. They've got big bodies that can keep it alive.
Atlanta leading at 51-47. Byron Scott called for his first personal. And going to the line will be Craig Elo. Another very valuable pickup by Pete Babcock for the Atlanta Hawks this year. We talked about Andrew Lang earlier. Craig Elo equally important for his contributions off the bench. And early in the year, his 3-point shooting was something to behold. It tailed off a little bit because of some back problems that Elo had the second half of the season, but in the first half, he was remarkable from 3-point range.
All Craig Elo does is the small things. He does all the little things that coaches want. He gives a team attitude. He gives them an understanding of what it takes to win and that he's willing to pay the price. He's done it all season for the Hawks.
He makes both free throws. Want to remind you, coming up in Game 2 of tonight's TNT NBA doubleheader, the Denver Nuggets and the Utah Jazz begin their series at the Delta Center. Atlanta 6 points up. Just under 30 seconds remaining. And Smith was pushed out, will be the ruling. And John Konkak picks up his 3rd.
His 3rd personal. First in the last 2 minutes.
Kevin Willis checking back into the Atlanta lineup, replacing Konkak.
We talked about consistency in defense. Here it is now. You have 27 seconds remaining before the half. Atlanta fouls, and Indiana still is not shooting in the bonus, something which Atlanta did the entire season. They played outstanding defense without fouling. They did not commit a lot of personal fouls, did not give their opponents a lot of free throws.
Interesting sidebar for this whole series. The Indiana Pacers, a team used to going to the free throw line a lot. We'll see how that all works out over the course of this series. Playing against a team that doesn't foul much, as Mike said. Fleming trying one. That was a 2-point basket if it went, but it didn't. Rebound Stacey Augmon. Now the Hawks can play for a final shot here. Danny Manning trying to take it and drew the foul just before time expired, or had time expired. What's going to be the call here? The Hawks think there was still a little bit of time left on the clock. Lenny Wilkins is sure there was, but the officials are saying no time was left.
And Larry Brown is halfway into the locker room. He's not about to stick around and question whether or not there's going to be free throws. Larry Brown is gone. Does the contact take place before the double zeros on the clock and the red light goes off? Looks there like there's still time on the clock. It
certainly seemed that there would be time on the clock, but the officials rule no. 53-47 our halftime score. The Hawks on top. Our Reebok halftime report is next.
The Reebok Halftime Report is brought to you by Reebok, to remind you that on Planet Reebok, there are no rules.
The Atlanta Hawks once led by 12. That lead has been sliced in half by the Indiana Pacers. It's 53-47, the Hawks with the lead over the Pacers. This is the Reebok Halftime Report. I'm Ernie Johnson. This is Golden State's Tim Hardaway. And we talked when the night began about rest or rust as far as Indiana goes. Have you seen some rust on the Pacers?
Oh, yeah, you've seen some rust in the first half. 7 turnovers in the first quarter, leading up fast break points for the Hawks. And, you know, Hawks playing good defense, and, you know, those defense calls turnovers, and turnovers calls baskets on the other end. So they're doing a great job.
Yeah, defense has been Atlanta's trademark this season. Still to come tonight, Game 1 of the Denver-Utah series. The Nuggets stunning Seattle in the first round, making an immediate impact on the Denver sports popularity contest. The Broncos have been sold out at Mile High Stadium for 24 years running. The Rockies set all-time baseball attendance records in their first year. And now the Nuggets are a hot ticket since the city learned how to Mutombo.
So let's get ready to Mutombo!
Another three, way short. That's it. Mutombo embraces the ball, and the unlikely upset, one of the great upsets in NBA playoff history.
Yeah, that first ever #8 win over #1 has the folks in Denver beating a path to McNichols Sports Arena to gobble up tickets for the Western Semis. Games 3 and 4 of that series with Utah will be played this weekend in Denver, and Nugget merchandise is a must-have these days. The series tips off tonight at the home of the Jazz, the Delta Center in Salt Lake City, where the Nuggets' Robert Pack is standing by. Robert, thank you very much for joining us before the game. And let me ask you this. There are a couple of theories going on. Now, are the Denver Nuggets going to be mile high, or is there a letdown in the works after that tremendous win over the Sonics?
No, I think we're over the win. We're ready to come to Utah and give them a tough game and try to pull out some victories here.
Robert, you know, you come off the bench and energize the team. When you do that, how do they react?
Well, I think the guys are ready to run. They know when I get in the game, they're going to get easy buckets off the break, and I'm going to turn up the pace a little bit. And I think everyone is waiting for me to get in the game so they can get some easy buckets.
Yeah, it looked like you've been working on your J, too.
Definitely. I knew if I worked on my J, that would open up my game, and I think it's helped us in the playoff.
Robert, how has this team done it? I mean, you're the veteran as far as playoff experience goes, with all of 14 games in the postseason coming into this year. Have all the young guys, and you're a young one yourself, come to you for all these stories about the playoff wars?
Well, I told them a little bit about the playoff run I had with the Blazers. It was a great experience for me, even though I didn't get to play much. But I was able to tell the guys how it was a different style of basketball. It's going to be much tougher. And us being a young team, we weren't going to get many calls, so we was going to have to play through it. And I think the guys responded well to it.
All right, what y'all going to do tonight against John Paxson and Karl Malone?
John Stockton.
John Stockton, I'm sorry.
Oh, we definitely have to contain both of those guys. John is a good guard. I'm going to have to put a lot of pressure on him and try to contain him as much as possible. And down low, we're going to have to do everything we can to stop Malone. Once he gets it down low, you know he's a tough guy to stop.
Hey, Robert, one more thing about Dan Issel. We see shots of him on the sidelines, and it's like a proud dad watching his kids overachieve. What's it been like with Dan Issel through this first playoff series?
Well, I think Dan has grown a lot. I know we all young. This is Dan's first 2 years coaching. I think he's made some good decisions, and he's allowed us to come out and play relaxed. He's been relaxed, and I think that's rubbed off on us.
Robert Pack, thank you very much for taking the time out of your pregame routine to join us. Good luck tonight in Game 1.
Thanks.
All right, Robert Pack joining us from the Delta Center. What's your take on this series, Tim? Is another miracle in the works here against Malone and Stockton?
I don't know. I really can't tell you. It's going to be a great series. Mutombo in the middle. He blocks everything that comes through. So it's going to be a tough series for Utah. But if I tell you one thing, if Denver, I still call him Chris Jackson because I can't say
Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf.
Yeah, him. If he gets going on his J, because he didn't do that in the first series against Seattle. If his J starts falling, he gets confidence in his shot. It's going to be a good series for them.
He's their leading scorer, held to 9 points in the series against Seattle. Here, it's Indiana and Atlanta. Welcome back to the Reebok Halftime Report. Hawks by 6 over the Pacers at the break. This is Tim Hardaway. We watched this first half, and, you know, Lenny Wilkins, since he came to Atlanta, has been stressing defense. His guys have embraced it. And even when Indiana gets a situation it wants, the Hawks have turned that in their favor tonight. The telestrator awaits the expertise of Tim Hardaway.
All right, Dale Davis is right here. He goes down here and sets the pick for Reggie Miller to come out here, catch the ball, and somehow Kevin Willis switches off on Reggie Miller. Here it is right here. And Augman, got Davis right here, and Rick Smith should clear out.
So you got the mismatch you're looking for.
Exactly. But that doesn't happen. Reggie says, Rick, stay here. Dale, you go over. Try to get the ball to Rick. And Kevin Willis defense and stole the ball, and they off to the break again.
Hawks with the numbers, Hawks with the hoop. Kevin Willis leads them with 13 points. Augman has 12. Blaylock has 8. It's the Hawks by 6 at the break. The guy's got skills even at the telestrator. We'll be right back. And welcome back. Let me remind you, folks, that tomorrow night we're back with another NBA playoff doubleheader. Special time, 7 o'clock in the East. An hour earlier, you got Chicago and New York, the Knicks with a 1-0 lead, followed by the Suns and the Rockets, Phoenix with a 1-0 lead there. They're going for a 1-0 lead in this series. Indiana and Atlanta playing the opener. Reggie Miller, 3 out of 8 in the first half. Certainly not the kind of night he had against Orlando.
No, not the kind of night he had against Orlando, but you know, in the first half, that's 3 out of 8. He can easily come in the second half and turn around.
He is instant offense. He can light up at any time. Reggie Miller and the Pacers down 53-47 to the Hawks. The third quarter coming right up.
The Reebok Halftime Report has been brought to you by Reebok, who reminds you that on Planet Reebok, there are no limits.
An aerial view of downtown Atlanta. In the heart of downtown, the Omni, where tonight's game 1 in the best of 7 between the Pacers and the Hawks is at halftime, with Atlanta leading it 53-47. And Mike, no real trends yet. We've seen little surges by Atlanta, little surges by Indiana, but I think we can expect that throughout this whole series.
The one thing that jumps out right away has been the constant for Atlanta the entire season, and that's their defense. They were 4th best in the league, giving up just 96 points a game. They've given up 47 in the first half. How do you do it? When the basketball is away from you, you tell your players, always see the basketball, because you never know, something good can happen. Well, Stacey Augmon keeps his eye on his man and the basketball. The flick, the deflection, the steal by Stacey Augmon, which starts Atlanta out on another fast break. And then you want to finish and convert, and you want teams to play unselfishly. Well, the Hawks have certainly done that, taking their 7 steals in the first half and turning them into 18 fast break points.
Hawks had a lead as much as 12 points, but Indiana cut it to 6 by halftime. One of the big reasons, the fine performance in the second quarter by Rick Smits.
Indiana could not get its outside game going, so they went to Rick Smits, particularly in the second quarter, where he came up with 6 of his 10 points in the first half, figuring that if they establish their inside game, eventually they'll be able to kick back out when Atlanta doubles down on the big man.
Rick Smits and Dale Davis share the scoring lead for Indiana with 10 points apiece. Kevin Willis had the big first quarter for Atlanta with 13 points. Stacey Augmon has scored 12, and Danny Manning has scored 11 at halftime. Hawks shooting 48% in the first half. Indiana 43%. Indiana, though, has the rebound advantage, 23-17.
The guy that we're looking for to show up for Indiana here in the second half is Derek McKee. McKee with no points after averaging 12 points and 5 rebounds during the regular season. McKee, no shot opportunities, 3 personal fouls, only 5 minutes on the floor. And then the man who came in behind him, Sam Mitchell, is just 1 for 5. So that small forward position needs some help.
And how about Reggie Miller? He does have 8 points at the half, but his last basket was scored with 3 minutes left in the first quarter. He was kept off the scoreboard in the second quarter.
Miller has 8. Byron Scott 7 points. So there's a combined 15 points from the 2-guard position, but you haven't seen the explosion take place that Indiana's waiting for from that 2-guard spot.
Quarter number 3 about to begin. Indiana will have the basketball. Davis, Smits, Workman, Miller, and McKee out there for the Pacers. Koncak, Manning, Augmon, Willis, and Blaylock for Atlanta.
People say, what's the difference between regular season and playoffs? Nothing's easy. Even taking the ball inbounds to start the second half, you face full court pressure.
McKee, another miss. The rebound, Danny Manning, off to Mookie Blaylock. And John Koncak's hitting that jumper with more regularity in the playoffs than he was during the regular season. During these playoffs, he's been shooting at a 49% clip. He has 6.
Right elbow, left elbow. Right elbow, left elbow. That's his spot on the floor. That's where the double teams come from. That's where John Koncak is very comfortable shooting the basketball.
Foul on Danny Manning is his second. A fresh 24 on the clock for the Indiana Pacers.
Now.
Down low again, it comes to Rick Smits. Little 2-man game here. Workman and Smits. Turnaround jumper hit by Rick Smits. He's got 12. And it's back to a 6-point game. Back to an 8-point game. That didn't take long. 14 points for Stacey Augmon.
Atlanta wants to bring the ball back down the floor as quickly as possible, whether it's a missed shot or a made shot, to try and catch Indiana's defense for an easy score or just to get some of the pressure off them.
There's Miller coming around the pick by Smits, and maybe he'll get it going now for Indiana. He's in double figures now at 10, 4 out of 9 from the field. Atlanta by 6, 57-51. Osmond traveled. One move too many there for Stacey Augmon.
Atlanta tried to post Augmon up. Miller did a pretty good job of getting his body up against him, bumped him off the low right block area, so he couldn't get a quick catch shot. He had to put it on the floor one time, the resulting turnover.
Just underway in quarter number 3, 57-51 Atlanta. And an easy bucket there for Dale Davis. He now has scored 12.
You wonder why Larry Brown would take Rich Smits out so quickly after scoring, but Rick is hurt. They were just overlooking at him on the bench. That's why the quick substitution with Antonio Davis.
Appear to be looking at his right thumb.
Don't tell me about right thumbs. I heard enough about that.
I'm sure you have.
The NBA playoffs on TNT are brought to you by GMC Truck, the strength of experience. And by Dutch Boy. Give your home the lasting look of Dutch Boy.
They continue to work on the right thumb of Rick Smits, and this is an all too familiar sight for you, Mike Fratello, just 2 days before your playoff series with Chicago began. In a practice, he lost Hot Rod Williams.
Hot Rod Williams, who along with Mark Price were the two guys who basically carried our team the entire season. Hot Rod goes down 2 days before the first game against Chicago, breaks the thumb with someone just running past him in practice, happened to crash into him. Earlier in the season, we lost Tyrone Hill for 6 weeks with a thumb injury, a sprained ligament. So those thumbs, I've had enough of them, Pete.
Your trainer, Gary Briggs, told me that the doctor called him while he was in his car, and he picked up his car phone. The first thing the doctor said was, "You better pull over, Gary."
Briggs, the only trainer in the league with clauses in his contract for extra work above and beyond.
57-53 is our score. Atlanta leading it by 4, 9:54 left in the third quarter. And Smits is still not out there. There's a steal by Workman. Workman to Antonio Davis. Antonio Davis shows some of his athletic ability, slamming that one home. His first field goal, his third point, and this is the closest game we've had since it was 12-10 back in the first quarter.
A real adventure for Antonio Davis. When Workman gave him the ball that early at half court, Davis said, "What am I supposed to do with it from here?" He found the handle and converted.
Danny Manning working on Derek McGee. Down to 5 seconds left in the shot clock. There's that little slip move by Danny Manning. He's got 13. Hawks lead the Pacers now by 4. On the shot clock. Whoa, how'd that go in? Derek McKee's first basket of the night. And it's back to a 2-point game, 59-57. 8:48 remaining third quarter. Kevin Willis down low. Willis a 13-point first half. They swing it around to Concact. Inside Stacey Augmon. Nope. Rebound finally pulled away by Danny Manning. Back out to Mookie. Kevin Willis not being able to get that shot to fall the last couple of times he's tried it. And Indiana now has a chance to tie this one up or take a lead with a three-point play. Dale Davis, a nice feed underneath, and we are tied up.
We talked about the strength and size of this Indiana team. That was a power move inside by Antonio Davis to get that ball up on the rim and convert.
Antonio Davis now at 5 points, tied at 59. Atlanta had a 12-point lead at one time in the first half. Willis. Contact again will take it over McKee. It wouldn't go for him. The rebound saved by Mookie Blaylock to Concact. Augmon back to Mookie. Mookie's going to try a three. It's too strong, and the rebound pulled away by Kevin Willis, but we're going to get an offensive or a loose ball foul call, rather. And it's going to be on Kevin Willis.
How many times do you see a 6'10 player, Dale Davis, feeding his teammate 6'9 Antonio Davis, and then right up through John Concact for the score, the strength and explosiveness of Antonio Davis.
And now the Indiana Pacers trying to reclaim the lead for the first time since very early in the first quarter. Underneath it comes to Reggie Miller. Nope, rebound pulled away by Andrew Lang. Mookie Blaylock trying to go coast to coast, and we get a trip to the free throw line out of this. He was fouled by Haywood Workman. That's Workman's third. Workman's done a pretty good job on Mookie Blaylock. Mookie has 7 points. They all came in the first quarter. But he's had trouble shaking himself free for shots, Mike. 3 out of 8 from the field. He does have 5 assists.
It's interesting that you had 2 coaches come in and take over programs, and the first thing they tried to do is establish a reputation as a defensive team, knowing that that is what they needed. They needed to concentrate in that area, and in talking with Lenny Wilkins today, he mentioned that from the beginning, the first day of practice, that was their point of emphasis. They sat down with players individually and talked to them about how they were going to play this year, what they wanted to accomplish.
And another whistle as Reggie Miller got into the paint. Mookie Blaylock called for his second.
And in fact, talking with Larry Brown earlier this morning, Larry mentioned that they had worked so hard defensively throughout the course of the regular season that LaSalle Thompson actually came up to him about 3 or 4 weeks ago and said, you know, Coach, we got away from doing that one drill we did all the time in practice every day. We need to go back and do it again. Larry said, you know what, he was right. We went back and we could see a marked improvement in our team defense.
Yeah, you know you're making progress when you get players suggesting things. I know you relied on your players in Cleveland a lot to help you out.
A lot of input. We had a very high basketball IQ from the players in Cleveland. Mark Price, a coach out on the floor. Hot Rod Williams someday is going to be a sensational coach if he wants to get into that field. So it makes it a little bit easier when you have you guys thinking with you along the way and giving you some input.
We are tied at 60 with 7:08 to go in the third quarter. Mookie Blaylock, Workman guarding him. Manning guarded by McKee. Danny Manning, a little move over McKee, and there's a rebound for Dale Davis, and he now has 11. Indiana out rebounding Atlanta in this game. That's helped them get back in it too. Reggie Miller coming around the screen, unable to shake free. Workman trying a 3 and nailing it. Haywood Workman. First time Indiana's led this game since they had a 6-5 first quarter lead. 7 points now for Workman. 63-60 Indiana. And Indiana gets the ball back. Antonio Davis after the Hawks turnover. And all of a sudden this Indiana Pacers team exploding. Davis with 6 of his 7 points in this quarter. 65-60 Pacers.
The biggest thing that's happened to Indiana is their spirit is back up again. Their zest for playing is there once again, and it's happened since Rick Smits went on the bench. They're quicker, more aggressive defensively. There it is, another steal. They're making things happen at the defensive end.
The Indiana Pacers on a 16-3 run have opened up a 5-point lead. Under 6 minutes to go now, third quarter. Antonio Davis back to Workman. Derek McKee trying to get past Manning, does, but his shot is short. Kept alive by Antonio Davis. Out to Miller. And this time the Pacers turn the ball over. Remember all those turnovers the Hawks were forcing on the Pacers in the first quarter when they got 7 turnovers? Right now, Atlanta's turned the ball over 12 times, Indiana 11. So Indiana, after that first quarter, taking much better care of the basketball. And Atlanta now has 1 more turnover than do the Pacers. 5:25 to go, third. Manning doesn't always look so graceful when he does it, but he got that one to fall. He's got 15.
An incredible knack for getting the ball up in the rim area and converting shots that look like they're awkward or not high percentage shots. Danny Manning makes them.
It's 65-62 Indiana. Workman a little short range jumper around and out. Gets it back and can't put it back. Rebound pulled away by Andrew Lang.
Haywood Workman taking a page out of the Mookie Blaylock offensive rebounding book.
Mookie Blaylock going coast to coast. No, the offensive board. The putback by Danny Manning. 17 points for Manning. And the Atlanta Hawks have climbed back to it in 1. 65-64 Indiana. You see the time left in the third. A game of surges. Hawks have gone up by as many as 12. Indiana coming back to go up by as many as 5 in this third quarter.
It's those little in-between shots that make some players more effective than others. Blaylock there wanted the foul, didn't get the call. The ball rolls off, and Manning knows he's got to get it up quick before Indiana recovers. Again, Manning with that savvy, the feel for the game, getting the shot up on the rim quickly.
Well, good news for Pacers fans. Rick Smits is all right. He's back in the game after suffering an apparent injury to his right thumb. He feeds Antonio Davis, who got the basket to fall and has a chance here for a three-point play. 8 points in this quarter for Antonio Davis, 9 in the game.
Antonio Davis all season has had a knack for making shots that you don't think he has any chance at all of making. We played them 5 times. He did it against us. He did it against Orlando. Hurt them with a big jumper from about 17 feet in the left corner when you want him to shoot those shots. And again there, he makes a big one.
4:15 to go in the third. This time we're going to get an offensive foul call as Craig Elo took a spill. Going to be called on Rick Smits. That's his second. Atlanta gets it back. 4:15 remaining in the third with Indiana on top 67-64. Underneath, nice pass from Manning to Kevin Willis. I'm not so sure if early in the period of time that Danny Manning was a member of the Atlanta Hawks that Kevin Willis would have seen that one coming. The Hawks teammates had to get used to Danny Manning's passes, Mike.
Set up by a back pick leads to an easy score. A nice little wrinkle to Atlanta's offense in the half-court area. Bring the big man away from the basket, Kevin Willis, and give him the ball. The defensive man is not used to playing him way out there. Then bring a little small man over and set a back pick where the big man can't see it coming from behind. And what you get is back pick, screen, Reggie Miller doesn't help. Wide open layup underneath for Kevin Willis on the back pick by Craig Elo.
And that's the first basket for Kevin Willis since that 13-point first quarter. 15 in the night now for Willis. 67-66. Indiana on top by a point. You talked about what happened, Mike, when Rick Smits left the lineup. Atlanta was up 57-53 when he left. When he came back, it was 65-62 Indiana. They outscored the Atlanta Hawks 12-5 without Smits on the court. And now he's back. 3:45 to go in the third. Down to 8 seconds left on the shot clock. Down to 4 left on the shot clock. Smits comes up short. Antonio Davis just does save it for Indiana. 10 points in the quarter, 11 in the game. He's 5 for 5 from the field in the quarter. Pacers lead it by 3.
Antonio Davis was a great pick by Indiana. He's had a tremendous season for Larry Brown and the Pacers.
Andrew Lang's jumper with Smits flying at him, and Lang hits his first 2 points of the game. That brings Atlanta back to within 1.
Lang must have heard us talking about key pickups, so he decides to hit a jumper to make us talk about him a little bit more. We said it already, a great acquisition by the Atlanta Hawks.
Reggie Miller, that's a 3 if it goes. It's short. The rebound goes out of bounds. Last touched by Indiana. It'll be Atlanta's ball, and here's a look at tonight's GMC scoreboard. Denver, Utah, game 1 of their series coming up next on TNT from the Delta Center. And tomorrow night, the Chicago Bulls and New York Knicks meet in game 2. Ron Thule and Hubie Brown will have that one for you. And game 2 of that doubleheader, Phoenix and Houston. Bob Neal, Doug Collins working that one. The Suns up 1-0 in that series. .244 left in the third. Hawks trying to grab the lead back here. They're down by 1. Elo finds a seam, dishes off to Lang. Good defense there by Indiana. They force the Atlanta turnover. Byron Scott bringing it down along with Fleming. Fleming's going to take it to the hole, and he scores. Vern Fleming has 4, and the lead back up to 3 now, 71-68.
Not only terrific defense, a nice swipe in there by Rick Smits, but normally you're happy with that. You stop the layup, the ball goes out of bounds. Not Indiana. Antonio Davis ran, saved it, wound up 2 points for Indiana.
Ricky Blaylock. Andrew Lang now at 4. Atlanta back to within 1, 71-70. Under 2 minutes to go in the third. Byron Scott looks inside, finds Rick Smits, and Smits has his 14th point. 73-70 Indiana. Underneath to Kevin Willis, who was all alone under there. He's got 17. Atlanta back to within 1. This is a seesaw battle right now.
Those are the baskets that break your heart as a coach. People don't talk out their assignment. Somebody's left open underneath for an easy score. You don't want to give up easy baskets.
Antonio Davis putting on some kind of show in this third quarter. He scored 12 of his 13 points in the third. Indiana back up by 3. Closing in on the 1 minute mark here in the third. Elo looks down to Willis. That's a 3 if it goes for Craig Elo. Air ball. Rick Smits the rebound. Out to Vern Fleming. Mookie Blaylock trying to interfere along with Elo, but Fleming converts. And some fast break points now going Indiana's way, Mike.
So, Pete, actually, if Mookie Blaylock didn't get a hand on that ball and slow it up a little bit, that pass may have gone right out of bounds. I don't know if Vern Fleming could ever caught up with it, but Blaylock slowed it up just enough to let Fleming catch up.
Indiana had only 2 fast break points in the first half. They've got 10 fast break points in the third quarter. And with just over 40 seconds to go, Indiana gets the ball back, and they're up by a 77-72 count. Dale Davis back in. Rick Smits sits down for the Pacers. Atlanta's turned the ball over 6 times in this quarter. 14 times in the game.
Immediately they go to a matchup of McKee at 6'9" against Farrell at 6'6" down the low post, trying to take advantage of the 3-inch difference in size.
Lang comes over with the help. And Dale Davis gives the Indiana Pacers their biggest lead. 14 points for Dale Davis, a 7-point lead for Indiana, 79-72.
Because of his great passing ability and size, they make Derek McKee actually the starter in the offense. Put it in his hands, draw the double team against the shorter player, and then he'll pass to the open cutter.
They get a foul called on Antonio Davis, who has been the spark plug for Indiana here in this third quarter with 12 points. Pacers were down by 6 at the half. They're going to be up at the end of 3. They're up by 7 now. Blaylock for 3. Nope. With 1.4 seconds left, it still belongs to Atlanta.
You have to look for some type of back pick lob, a small man back picking a big man, throw the ball up to the front of the rim.
Elo, and before the shot, he stepped out of bounds. Just a 1/10 of a second left.
You'll see the home run pass now from out of bounds. Indiana will try and throw the ball right to the front of the rim, where they'll have one of their players try to tip it in. There's not enough time left for a controlled shot. This must be a tip towards the basket to count.
And this may be about the clock. They're going to put 9/10 of a second back on the clock now.
A little difference here. Now you can catch and actually shoot.
That coming after the conversation between Hugh Hollins and Darryl Gerritsen.
They'll try to throw the ball to the guy who has the best mismatch in his favor as deep as possible. Get the other guys out of there. Byron Scott knows who he's supposed to throw it to because Larry Brown's been telling him right behind his back.
And there's the horn sounding the end of quarter number 3. But Antonio Davis sparking an Indiana Pacers comeback. Down by 6 at the half. It's now Indiana 79, Atlanta 72 with 1 quarter remaining here at the Omni. The Indiana Pacers shooting 68% in the third quarter. Now have a 7-point lead over the Atlanta Hawks going into the fourth.
And a lot of those points came in transition, which they weren't getting in the first half. Mookie Blaylock, who we mentioned earlier, likes to crash the offensive boards. He sees the shot going up. He gambles and starts to come in for the offensive rebound. But what happens is it leaves the backcourt unprotected. When he realizes that he took a bad gamble, he hustles back and just gets a piece of the ball. If he had not slowed it up, I think it would have gone all the way out of bounds before Vern Fleming could have caught up with it. But he just slowed it up enough for Fleming to find the handle and convert.
Quarter number 4 begins. Enos Watley in at the point now for Atlanta. Watley, Elo, Lang, Farrell, and Willis on the court for Atlanta. Elo's going to try one. That's a 2 if it goes. He was straddling the line. The rebound pulled away by, guess who? Dale Davis. 12 rebounds for Davis. The Davis boys, Dale and Antonio, having a big impact for the Indiana Pacers in game 1 of this one. Down to 5 seconds left on the shot clock. Antonio Davis, another one of those acrobatic moves, but this time he misfires. Willis, the rebound for Atlanta. He's got 10 rebounds now. Elo, the baseline, sends it back out to Watley behind the pick set by Lang. No, rebound pulled away by Enos Watley, and he got fouled by Byron Scott.
Personal foul number 4, Byron Scott. His second personal. First team foul on the quarter.
And as you look at the point guards, and can we count Penny Hardaway as maybe a point and a half guard?
You can't count him at 6'9".
He plays a little 2 guard too.
Plays a little bit of everything, by the way.
Mookie Blaylock, you see, ranks 3rd. Offensive rebounds for point guards. Most, we understand, only have about 30 or 40 for the entire season, most point guards. And that was a very select list you looked at there, those 5. Getting a hand on that one, Byron Scott. Still the Hawks ball, but only 3 seconds left on the 24-second clock. Danny Manning's going to be checking back in soon for Atlanta. Here he comes. He is in for Kevin Willis. Willis with 17 points tonight, most of them coming in the first quarter. He scored 13 of those 17 in the first. Andrew Lang trying to beat the clock, does. 6 points for Andrew Lang, and the Hawks have the first 2 points of the fourth quarter at 79-74 Indiana. Crowd wanting to see some of that Hawks defense, which wasn't there really in the third quarter when they were outscored 32-19. Antonio Davis operates along the baseline, lost the ball, but it was last touched by Dwayne Farrell. And Indiana gets it back with 6 seconds left on the shot clock. Reggie Miller back in, replacing Derek McKee. Reggie Miller has had a quiet night. Only 4 of 11 from the field. That's one weapon that hasn't been let loose yet for Indiana in this game.
Larry Brown really upset. They had run their out-of-bounds play under the basket. The referee pulled the ball back, so basically they exposed the play to Atlanta and now have to get a shot up with 6 seconds remaining.
Down to 2 left in the shot clock. Down to 1. They're not going to get it off. 24-second clock violation. And Atlanta gets it back. Turnover number 13 for the Indiana Pacers. Hawks have turned it over 15 times. And now this crowd trying to get the Atlanta Hawks going. Atlanta down by 5. Enos Watley going coast to coast. No whistle. Scott the rebound. Down to Reggie. Off his fingertips. It goes back to Atlanta.
Byron Scott took a little longer than he wanted to come up with the handle, and then he knew his teammate was out there, and he knew he had to hurry up and get it down the floor. Threw it just a little bit too long.
Indiana 79-74 lead, 9:50 remaining. Trying to alley-oop it to Stacey Augmon. Augmon just does save it in the corner. 4 seconds left on the shot clock. Enos Watley trying to beat the shot clock. Around and out. Rebound off Miller's hands. Stolen right back by Danny Manning. Andrew Lang to Enos Watley. Watley had it blocked by Dale Davis. Vern Fleming sends it over to Byron Scott, who's wide open. He's got 9 points. The lead back up to 7. A timeout's going to be taken here by Atlanta.
How many times do you remember Scott making that shot from the corner with a Laker uniform on? And it starts with team defense. What looks like a sure layup, blocked by Indiana, which then leads to the transition score by the Pacers. For sure this is in. No, it's not. terrific recovery by Dale Davis.
And here is tonight's Dutch boy in the paint. The rebounding advantage belongs to Indiana, 35-27 over Atlanta. And second chance points, even though the offensive rebounds are the same. Pacers have a 7-point advantage there.
Team defense can lead to easy scores. We've talked about that so many times for Atlanta in the first half. Well, what looks to be like a sure layup from the weak side, Dale Davis blocks the shot. Reggie Miller comes up with it and starts the fast break. And then Vern Fleming sees Scott spotting up in the deep corner. So reminiscent of the years with the Lakers where Magic would find them spotting up deep in the corner.
It's 81-74. Indiana up by 7 with 9:15 remaining. Game 1 of this best-of-7 set. Game 2 will be here on TNT on Thursday night. Elo trying to break free. Can't. Back out to Lang. Down to 3 seconds on the shot clock again. We've seen a lot of this in this quarter. And Craig Elo couldn't get it to go. Rebound Rick Smits. That's 5 boards for Smits. And Haywood Workman who's checked back in. Porter back in the club now for Indiana. Off to Byron Scott. Byron Scott. Nowhere to go, and we're going to have a whistle and a foul call against Indiana. It's on Byron Scott. His third. Don't forget, coming up in the second half of tonight's TNT playoff doubleheader, the Denver Nuggets and the Utah Jazz. Gary Bender and Goose Gibbons standing by at the Delta Center to bring you all the action from Salt Lake. The Cinderella team, Denver, advancing to round 2 with one of the most shocking upsets in NBA playoff history. Again, time beginning to work down on that clock. Down to 4 seconds left, and Manning took the shot. The rebound pulled away by Dale Davis.
Pete, if I'm correct, Mookie Blaylock had already played 31 minutes in this game before he came back in. Now, 31 minutes that early. Regular season, he averaged 36 minutes a game. Lenny says he likes to keep him around the 34-minute mark. That's where he's most effective. The minutes build up on him, and it's tough because of the energy that he uses.
Danny Manning gets it out to Mookie Blaylock. He's got Stacey Augmon open along with Craig Elo, and Elo came up short. He wanted a foul call by Darrell Garrison, didn't get it. Rebound Reggie Miller. Good ball movement by Indiana. Workman giving it back to Rick Smits with a 10-foot jumper. That's short. Mookie Blaylock the rebound. He's on a pace right now, Mike. If the Hawks are going to get back in this, he's going to have to play about 40 minutes tonight. He came back in with about 9 minutes to go, and he had played 31 minutes.
Atlanta in transition. Looks like it's going to come up with another score. Think about the opportunities that they've had now to get easy baskets, but in the last second, the hand in causes Elo to miss the shot. He turns and complains that he was fouled. No call. Indiana went down the other way.
Dale Davis commits his second foul, second team foul. And Derek McKee checks back into the lineup for the Pacers. Now 1 for 10 from the field.
Offensive foul was called by Hugh Hollins as Byron Scott started to bust out. Hollins said he used his left arm to clear the passageway to start his dribble.
That's 4 on Byron Scott.
Right arm right there, pushes off the defensive player. Good call by Hugh Hollins.
Very low scoring fourth quarter. We've had only 2 points scored by each side. We're almost 5 minutes into the final quarter. 81-74 Indiana. Here's your score. Elo back outside Manning. Manning with the jumper. Nope. Hawks now 1 of 11 from the field. A loose ball foul is going to be called this time on Stacey Augmon. His second.
All the small things add up. You talk about blocking out, putting your body on the man so he doesn't go to the offensive boards. You couldn't do it any better than Indiana did that time.
We've got a timeout. Indiana leading at 81-74, and it's not been because of another big shooting night by Reggie Miller, who averaged 29 points a game in the 3-game sweep of Orlando. Tonight, Miller is just 4 of 11, but he's gotten a lot of help from some of his teammates, especially Antonio Davis in that third quarter, Mike.
You try and take the main guy out of it. Atlanta's done a very good job of paying special attention to Reggie Miller, but then a player like Antonio Davis, who averages right around 7 points per game, he has 13 already in this game, so there's a +6 on his side of it.
It's really tough to figure out going into any playoff series just what's going to transpire. Going into this game, you and I were looking for Mookie Blaylock and Reggie Miller to be the keys, and tonight they haven't been.
Well, let's face it, both coaches were thinking the same thing, so they've told their teams that these are people we have to take out of this basketball game.
And so far, both teams have. Hawks have turned it up a notch defensively. We're going to get a foul call on contact there. That's his 4th. It's only the 2nd team foul. Still only 2 points for each side in this 4th quarter, and we're almost halfway through it. The Hawks' lone basket by Andrew Lang. Byron Scott has the only Indiana basket in this 4th quarter. Workman for 3. Rebound, out of bounds. And another call against Atlanta. Nope, this is called against Rick Smits, his 3rd. Atlanta will get the ball back. Here comes Dale Davis checking back in for Rick Smits. Dale Davis having a nice game. He's 7 for 11 from the field, 14 points, and he's pulled down 13 rebounds. Indiana has out-rebounded Atlanta 40-29 in the game. Kevin Willis trying a 3 around and out. The rebound, Dale Davis. I don't think that's the shot you want.
You stick him out there, you give him the ball, he's going to make a decision. Sometimes it's going to be to take the shot.
Atlanta now just 1 of 11 from the field in this 4th quarter, and Indiana's not much better. Antonio Davis getting it back. He misfires. Rebound number 14 for Dale Davis. Had the ball stripped away, but it's recovered back out to Workman. Workman top of the circle. Stops and fires over Stacey Augmon. A big basket there for Haywood Workman. He's got 9 points and the biggest Indiana lead of the night. 83-74.
No, that wasn't the 3 play that Lenny Wilkins was calling. That was the 3-second violation he wanted called.
And this Indiana Pacers team, which came out, frankly, a little sluggishly after that 8-day layoff, now appear, Mike, to have regained that momentum. Don't forget, not only did they sweep Orlando 3 games, but they won the last 8 games of the regular season, so they've won 11 straight.
There's a competitive edge that you get when you play games on a regular basis. Take a team away for 8 days, there's no way they can come out the same way they finished up.
The Denver Nuggets and Utah Jazz open up their best-of-7 series from Salt Lake City tonight on TNT. Gary Bender and Jack Gibbons will have it for you. Then tomorrow night, another NBA doubleheader. Game 2 of the Bulls-Knicks series. New York leading that one 1-0. Ron Thule and Hubie Brown at 7 o'clock Eastern time. And in Game 2, it'll be Phoenix and Houston. The Suns up 1-0 there. Bob Beal, Doug Collins will have that one for you. I'm Pete Van Weren along with Mike Fratello. We've got 5:20 left in the game. Indiana's biggest lead of the night, 83-74.
Tough decision right now for Atlanta. How long do you wait before you wind up taking what you want? Good shots, high percentage shots. You want to get Mookie behind the 3-point line, try and spread the defense a little bit. You want to get to the foul line, get some free throws to stop the clock. They tried the little back pick play again that they used earlier and got Kevin Willis a layup. That time they tried it for Manning. Nothing worked.
And Daryl Gerritsen blows the whistle. This one's on Workman. That's his 4th. 4th team foul, so the next one will go to the penalty.
Now, if you're Larry Brown, it's exactly what you don't want to happen. Foul a jump shooter, stop the clock, put him on the foul line where he's probably going to make 2 free throws if he's a decent free throw shooter. You want to challenge jump shooters, but not foul him, particularly a guy who, up to that point, is 3 for 12 in the game.
Hawks are now 17 for 19 from the line. Mookie Blaylock with 10 points. 83-76 Indiana. Under 5 minutes remaining. to 4 seconds left on the shot clock. Down to 2. Workman has to force one and hits it. He's hit a couple of those shots in this fourth quarter for the Indiana Pacers. Stacey Ogden is going to get the benefit of the call and count the basket.
Oh, what a break for Atlanta. That Lee Jones gave him the continuation on the shot and is going to give him an opportunity for a three-point play. If there are no more dribbles and the man is in the act of shooting, then it should count as a basket. On the breakout, Augment, there's the foul. No more dribbles. He's in the act of going up. Good call by Lee Jones.
And Haywood Workman has picked up his 5th personal foul, so he has to sit down now. Rick Smits is going to return to the lineup, replacing Antonio Davis. Vern Fleming has come in to replace Workman. And at the line, Stacey Augmon. 16 points tonight for Stacey.
Let's go back to the beginning of the game when Atlanta was scoring layups and Indiana was fouling. We talked about you can get 3 points a couple ways. One from behind the three-point line, or the other by going strong, getting foul, and converting. Again, now Atlanta back to getting three-point plays.
4.5 minutes remaining. Indiana leading it by 6. Rick Smits. Shooting over Koncak. He's short. Loose ball picked up by Mookie Blaylock. A 3-on-2. Now Dale Davis gets back quickly for Indiana. Mookie Blaylock has to bring it back out. Danny Manning trying to split the defense. Does! Another one of those magical moves by Danny Manning, giving him 19 points, 85-81. Indiana by 4.
Indiana is feeding the post with their point man, Vern Fleming. But then he's hanging around close enough to let Mookie help on the post-up man, who's Rick Smits. They got to get him out of there once he passes. Manning, we said earlier, a knack for finding a way to get shots up. How big is that opening? Not very big, but he gets through, gets it up. A great touch on the ball from Danny Manning.
Now Antonio Davis and Haywood Workman check back in. Smits and Fleming sitting down for the Pacers. Workman will be in there with 5 fouls. 85-81 Indiana. Reggie Miller got himself free from Stacey Augmon that time, and again the jumper wouldn't fall for him. An offensive rebound by Workman.
Here are those point guards coming up with offensive rebounds once again. A nose for the basketball.
And that call going against Indiana's Reggie Miller.
Indiana trying to run Reggie Miller off the screen. The elbow right there, stuck out by Dale Davis into the defensive player. Excellent call.
3.5 minutes remaining. 85-81 Indiana. Hawks trying to pull back to within 2. Inside, Stacey Augmon. Too strong off the glass. Ball rolling loose. Picked up by Danny Manning. Manning's with 21 points now, and the Hawks have scored 7 straight to get them back to within 2. And the Omni is jumping.
In the playoffs, ball's on the floor. Don't reach down and pick it up. Get on the floor and get the basketball.
This call will go against Atlanta and give the Indiana Pacers a chance to cash in from the free throw line.
Those guys that pick up the garbage points. It's on the floor. Don't reach for it. Manning comes up, gets it up quickly before anybody can recover. Another 2 for Danny Manning.
John Koncak picking up his 5th personal foul at the line. Reggie Miller, who has only 3 points in the second half, only 11 on the night. But he very rarely misses from here. 91% during the regular season, 87% during the 3-game sweep of Orlando. Indiana by 4. Miller has 13. 2:55 to go. Stacey Augmon draws the double. They swing it around to Kevin Willis. Willis, the jump hook from the paint. Around and out. And the rebound pulled away by Dale. Making Antonio Davis his 4th. Derek McKee handling the ball. Manning out on him. Miller. Found a wide open Antonio Davis underneath, and he has been the spark for Indiana in this second half. He's got 15 points, 14 of them coming in the second half. 89-83 Pacers.
Instead of Reggie trying to rush the shot when he came off the screen that time, he knew the big man had stepped up for Atlanta to help out. He went right back to the big man with the ball.
And the Atlanta Hawks turnover gives it right back to Indiana. That's a three by Reggie Miller. He finally hits one, and it's a big three. 16 points for Reggie Miller. Once again, the Pacers have stretched that lead to 9, and there's only 2 minutes remaining in the game.
Rather than rush his shot, Reggie Miller sets his man up by first taking him underneath the basket, giving his teammate a chance to set the screen. Once he gets underneath, John Koncak realizes that from the scouting report, John Koncak must be ready when the screen takes place to step up and out to stop Miller coming around for the quick jumper. Well, when Koncak steps up, his man releases and goes right to the basket. Reggie, rather than taking a forced jumper, goes right back to the screener to finish with the dunk by Davis. Talk about trying to free up Reggie Miller for open shots. Well, you started with good defense by coming up with the steal. Miller heads immediately for the three-point line. The entire way down the floor, his teammates know he'll be there. You must get your transition defense back and find Reggie Miller, or you pay the price.
Just the reverse of what he did in game 1 against Orlando. Remember the closing minutes there? First he hit the three, then he made the pass to Byron Scott for the game winner. 92-83, 2 minutes to go. Mookie Blaylock firing one up from three-point range, gets it back. Andrew Lang from the top of the circle gets the jumper to fall. He's got 8. And Indiana's lead down to 7 now, and they're going to be pressured in the backcourt now. But Reggie Miller quickly gets into the front court, draws the double team, and drew the foul. Stacey Augmon.
Well, if we were in football right now, you'd say Atlanta's in their hurry-up offense and their blitz defense trying to get back in this thing.
7-point game, and Reggie Miller will be at the free throw line. He has 16 points tonight. Lead back up to 8, 93-85. Reggie Miller making some big shots in this fourth quarter after a very quiet second quarter, an equally quiet third. Indiana by 9, 1:40 remaining. Indiana Pacers were down by as many as 12 in the first half. They now lead by 9 with 1:40 to go. And here's your timeout situation. Indiana in good shape. Still have 3 full timeouts in the 20. Hawks have 1 full timeout in the 20 left. And we're in the penalty for both teams. One thing we have not seen tonight, Mike, has been a big discrepancy in the free throw attempts. Indiana usually goes to the line a lot more, but they're almost even tonight, Indiana and Atlanta.
Indiana right up there, in fact, 4th highest in the league in getting to the foul line, just over 29 a game. Thus far, they've taken 19 free throw attempts. Atlanta usually shoots 25 a game, not real high. They're at 20 right now.
Mookie Blaylock misfires, and the rebound pulled away by Antonio Davis. He has 6 rebounds to go along with his 15 points. Reggie Miller dishing off to Dale Davis, gets it back. He's going to bring it back outside. He still has 12 seconds left in the shot clock. Workman back to Reggie from deep in three-point territory. And he gets it back, a fresh 24 on the clock. Indiana in pretty good shape now.
Stacey so anxious to run out and get a quick score because he knew that the time was wasting away. Started to leave. The ball hit, came right back in their direction. Reggie Miller got to it first.
You know, Reggie Miller, for his years in the NBA, and this is his 7th year in the league, has always been known as a good shooter, but we've seen so much more of his game, particularly with Indiana winning in the first round of the playoffs. He's an excellent passer, and a great decision made there when he still had 14 seconds left in the shot clock to bring the ball back out and eat up a little more of the time.
Let's face it, I think Reggie Miller is one of the players that has not gotten the credit he deserves for how good a player he really is and has been in the NBA. And part of that as you said, goes along with winning. And it's frustrating for a great player, as Charles Barkley has said, to be in a situation where you just don't see the daylight, an opportunity for you to win. This season, with some fine additions to the team, Larry Brown has done a terrific job coaching. That spark is there. Reggie Miller sees it, and I think now receiving the notoriety.
Indiana leading at 96-85, 106 remaining. Tonight's Budweiser player of the game, Antonio Davis, who has really sparked this second half comeback by the Indiana Pacers. 14 of his 15 points coming in the second half, and Budweiser will donate $1,000 on behalf of Antonio Davis to the United Negro College Fund. Don't forget, coming up next, second half of our TNT NBA playoff doubleheader. Game 1 in the best-of-7 series between the Denver Nuggets and the Utah Jazz. From the Delta Center. Well, once again, Mike Fratello, the Atlanta Hawks are going to have their backs against the wall. They've had to play like that a lot the last month of the regular season when they kept losing and then regaining that best record in the Eastern Conference. Then they got down 2-1 to Miami, came back and won that. Looks like they're going to be down 1 to the Indiana Pacers to start this best-of-7 series.
On the good side of that, Lenny Wilkens can once again reinforce the fact that, look, we've been in this situation before. We had to win a game in New York during the regular season that most people wouldn't have given them a chance after the loss the night before. They went in and beat New York when they had to do it. Against Miami, they saw that they could come back. This is a game of adjustments. They did not have but 48 hours to get ready for this team. I'm sure Lenny will point that out, talk about how they played well early, get them back to that 4-game 2.
An 11-2 run by the Indiana Pacers in these last 2 minutes and 40 seconds. And they're going to go up 1-0 over Atlanta. Taking one here at Atlanta's home, the Omni, place where the Hawks lost only 5 times during the regular season. Still a little over 4 seconds remaining, but Indiana has got this one under wraps. 96-85, and a final comment from you, Mike Fratello.
You go back to work, you review the films, you break it down, the whys and why nots of what took place. For Larry Brown and his team, this was a game that they could steal. They went in and did it. For Lenny Wilkens and his staff, they'll go back, show the team where they slipped up, where the intensity slid, come back and try and get game 2.
96-85, the Indiana Pacers up 1-0 in this best-of-7 series. NBA action continues. Denver takes on Utah next. For Mike Fratello, Pete Van Wieren, so long from the Omni.
One U.S. airline can fly you to more European cities than any other. Delta Airlines. You'll love the way we fly.
Is stripping old paint a pain in the elbow?
The Eastern Conference Semifinal, Indiana steals the home court 96-85 over the Atlanta Hawks. Ernie Johnson and Tim Hardaway back here in our Atlanta studio. Reggie Miller really didn't do the damage like he did in the Orlando series, but Larry Brown's got reserves. And I mean, Dale and Antonio Davis, the story tonight.
Oh, yeah. Both of them went out and played very good defense, rebound on defense and offensive boards. And then they played, they shot very well. So, you know, you can't ask for nothing else out of the Davis boys. They played a very good game.
Indiana well rested. The rust lasted for about 12 minutes. Then it was all Indiana. They really out-hustled the Hawks. They beat them to loose balls, and they win the game by 11. Indiana postseason perfect. They are 4-0, 3-0 on the road. Coming up next, it's game 2 of our TNT playoff doubleheader. The Denver Nuggets